Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR Halacha. And here's a brand new halacha for you, and it is for Sunday, 17th day of January. Here we go. So we're continuing our laws about challah and challah baking for Shabbos. Of course, that we put out two challahs Friday night, two challahs Shabbos morning, and there is a custom to have those two challahs be braided, if you can, if you're baking your own, and to bake them each. This is just a custom to bake them with 6 strands in each challah, braided all together. And the reason for that is because numerically, those 6 strands in each of the two challahs adds up to like 12 pieces of dough, and those are representative of the lechem hapanim, the 12 loaves that used to sit on the special table in the temple back in the time when we had a Beis Hamikdash. May it speedily be rebuilt. So we want to kind of signify and remember that by having two challahs with 6 braids in each of them, 6 strands braided together, and that could signify the 12. Also, when you set up the two challahs in front of you at the table, you set them up lengthwise so that they're kind of perpendicularly facing you, if you know what I mean, and that way they look like two long vavs, and the numerical value of vav is 6, so that the two challahs are kind of acting like two sixes, in other words, being again representative of the 12 lechem hapanim that were in the actual temple. Okay, next one. There is a great mitzvah of separating dough for challah. Whenever you make a nice big batch of challah, 5 pounds or more, then you make a bracha and you separate challah. The dough nowadays, we can't bring it to the temple like we would like to because we have no temple, but it is burned and it is not benefited from. And in temple times, they used to bring that to the Kohen. That mitzvah is rabbinic nowadays because we don't have the temple, but nevertheless, it is still a very important mitzvah. The Sefer HaChinuch says that the reason for the mitzvah is because it kind of reminds us that God is in control of everything. So even when we make our bread and we say, "That's mine, that's my bread," God reminds us, "No, you wouldn't have this bread without me." And that's one of the reasons for separating challah, giving to God whenever you make your delicious breads. During the kneading, there is a custom to think, as you knead the dough, that I wouldn't have this bread if it weren't for Hashem in heaven. And again, that same idea is signified, that God is in charge of everything. You know, the first word in our Torah is Bereshis, in the beginning, but the Medrash tells us that word Bereshis can kind of be broken down to be saying Bishvil Reshis, because of beginning. Because of beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. That's what that first sentence is alluding to. Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim es haaretz. Because of Reshis, God created heaven and earth. Reshis, beginning, one of the mitzvahs that's called beginning and Reshis is the mitzvah of challah. So where I'm going with that is, this is not me, the Medrash says this, that the mitzvah of challah is so important that God created heaven and earth for the mitzvah of challah. Why? Because it's incredibly important that we live our life in a way where we say, everything that I do, I think of God first, and it's for that God created the world. There's another medrash that says that the mitzvah of challah is so important when you separate it from your dough that it's as if you destroyed idols. You know, idols are the antithesis of worshiping God, and when you separate your dough for challah, it's as if you've done something as important as destroying idols. The Gemara says that in some ways the mitzvah of challah is equal in importance to all mitzvahs in the Torah. Now that's a quote that you've heard said about other mitzvahs, granted, but it is also said about the mitzvah of challah. That's how important it is. And lastly, a house in which challah is separated, the dough of the challah is separated for that mitzvah, is considered a house where God's blessing will reside. So please keep that in mind, because that's what we all want, is God's blessing residing in our homes. Thanks for logging on, and log on again tomorrow for more. Bye-bye.